Dead to right. I actually had this game when I was younger, and I thought it was cool. I only remember the first 2 levels of this game because of reasons I will tell you later on. But does this game still hold up now that I am a man? Well, let's take a look. Before you start the game, they give you a glimpse of Jack, our main character, where he stops a group of thugs from blowing up a library. A library? Who blows up a library? Anyways, when you start the game, it starts out with some exposition about the town you live in had a lot of gold, but it all disappeared. Now, the city is the toughest place where only the hardcore of the hardcore live here. Jack is a police officer that gets a radio call saying that a gunshot was heard nearby, and our cop goes at top speed, ramming his car through the gate. Was that necessary? You couldn't have parked it around the corner, bro? I know parallel parking sucks, but come on, man. This is our tutorial level, teaching us about the game, and the first thing I see is this game has auto aiming and a third-person shooter. That's like half the challenge of any shooter game. When you aim at someone, it has 3 different colors telling you how likely you are to hit them. Red for sure hit, orange for likely, and green for low or not at all. With most third-person shooters, you also have cover mechanics. You can press the X button to stick to a wall to use it as cover, but it's terrible. You can only use cover if it's big as you are and the wall is flat. You are supposed to get to the edge of a corner and then aim to pop out of cover to shoot at someone and go back in quickly. Since you can't take cover of things that are waist high, they give you a crouch. Not only does it look dumb, I'm gonna get ya, I'm gonna get ya, I'm gonna get ya, it's also not very good. You will still get hit. In the tutorial, they will also teach you about the red canister. You can throw the red canister at enemies and aim at it, which will turn everything into slow-mo, so you can make it explode at the right time to hit as many enemies as possible. They also teach you manual aiming at a tank to make it explode. But I never saw another time to shoot a tank to explode. I wonder if this was just to teach me about manual aiming. Either way, you don't want to throw the canister or go into manual aiming because you're wide open when you do that. To throw the canister, you need to have a clear view of your enemy. And in first person mode, you can't move. So you're just standing in the middle of the room with no cover where enemies can hit you. One thing you don't want to do is get hit unnecessarily. Yes, duh. You don't want to get hit in any game whatsoever. But you really don't want to get hit in this game because there's no health regeneration. There's health packs and armor packs. Yeah. Once you go through a section, that's your health, and you won't gain anything back until you find that health pack. They have enough packs laying around the game for you to beat it, but you never know where the next pack is going to be, and I like to hide them for some weird reason, so you might miss them. If you do die, there are checkpoints, but you retain the health that you had when you got to the checkpoint. So if you came in with low health, you're screwed. In order to not get hit, I started grabbing enemies in every gunfight. If you don't have any weapons, you will take theirs and kill them with it. It looked really cool by making it go in a slow-mo and let you change the camera angles. But you won't find yourself in that situation very often unless the game puts you in that situation. If you already have a weapon, you will make them into a human shield, and this is your best cover, other people. You can move around a bit and just start shooting the enemies without any worries. It felt like I was cheesing the game since this was all I went for, but it was the best and fastest way for me to get through these situations. Using cover was clunky and enemies are aggressive. They sometimes leave their cover and walk up to you shooting. They even walk around your cover and start shooting you. The game has this thing with just ambushing you. You walk through a door and you're being shot before you're able to see anyone. Alright, next room. Holy fuck, did they hold it besides the door? If every goon was like this, shit. I think the reason for this is to give you a situation to use adrenaline. If you press the die button and leave it pressed, it will go into slow mode, bullet time, matrix mode, not sure what the generic name for this would be, but the game says you use adrenaline to use this mode. The game was definitely designed with the player using this whenever they could. It felt really cool and I thought I was going to use it all the time. And I didn't. You have to dive to activate the slow-mo, and the dive is very clunky. It's hard to dive the way you want. You can only target people in Jack's field of vision that you can auto-aim, and you will most likely end up getting shot when you're done using it. The main reason I used it was just to defeat bosses. Bosses are terrible in this game. They're either super easy to cheese, or they're just tedious. Bosses don't have a lot of health, so if you slow-mo in front of them and just shoot as much as possible, you will take a good chunk of their health. I think my favorite cheese was this guy, where I stood in one spot while manually aiming. The ammo for the gun spawned where I was at, so I could just keep on shooting and getting ammo replenished while he kept going around in circles, and I just ducked whenever he tried to attack. A recurring boss in this game is a helicopter you have to face a couple of times. Facing the helicopter is not the easiest. So, you're telling me this helicopter is aiming towards me with a turret on the ground or a bunch of bad guys with no cover whatsoever, and the rocket launcher to destroy the helicopter is underneath the helicopter. Shit. If you're not in a gunfight, then you're in a fist fight. Put them paws up, boys! Fist fights are actually worse than gunfights. You have a couple of sections where you're fighting without any weapons. You can punch, kick, grab, and block. Fighting is random. There's no indications of when you should block and when you should be attacking. You just gotta be lucky you hit them, and if they block, you better hope they don't attack you before you put up your block. One strategy I picked up was keep blocking until I blocked all their hits, which left them wide open for me to attack them. Pretty simple, but it's slow and having to wait for the computer to punch is kind of bleh. They give you a grab for you to do on enemies that are blocking, but again, I have no idea what the timing for any of these things are. Sometimes the grab works, other times you get a full combo to the face. And with the way the health works in this game, it wasn't a risk worth taking. Bosses that required hand-to-hand fighting were the worst. Landing and hitting them was worse than regular enemies. I have no clue when it was safe to try to punch them, and since they're bosses, blocking all the time isn't a good idea. In the end, I did figure out ways to beat them, but it felt like I was exploiting the AI. One guy was being by me running away and attacking just at the moment he got close to me that he tried to attack me. So I timed the attack at the right time to hit him before he hit me, then repeated that throughout the fight. Another one, I figured out for some reason that when you do the kick combo, the sweep actually got him. I think it has to do with how long the hit between the previous kick and the sweep is, compared to punches? I actually have no clue if these were intended ways, but these are the ways I figured out. If one thing this game does, it makes you find your own way of getting through situations. Sometimes Jack does give you a hint on how to beat a boss or get out of a situation. With this one, I'm supposed to tire him out, so I just weave in and out of his attack range until he tires himself out for me to attack.
Gotta wear him down.
What the fuck? Am I seriously only doing this much damage to him? I have to be doing something wrong. And I was doing something wrong. You have to grab him from behind to get him on a chokehold. It would have been nice if the game had told me to press the button, unlike the mini games. Yes, this game has mini games, and every time you had to do one, they gave you a full explanation on how to do them every time. They involved either mashing the buttons as fast as possible or at a rhythm. There are 3 other ones where you have to press A at the right time, a bomb one where you go through a maze without touching the sides, which they make you do the same maze twice. There are like 4 of these puzzles on the whole game, and like maybe 40 minutes of gameplay in between the 2 that were the same. And the last one is a stripper pole dance mini game. Yeah, boys, look at those edges. Ooh, what's the surface area on that booty? Cup size? Nah. What's the hypotenuse on those tatas, baby? This is the main reason I remember this game, and don't remember much about the story. It's not the most exciting story to follow, since all the cutscenes in the game is either Jack just talking to someone just standing around, or him having this LA Noir cop voiceover with him just walking somewhere. The game mainly had in-game cutscenes, which didn't look any good, and the CGI definitely didn't age well. Some of my favorite scenes were when Jack jumps off a motorcycle and makes a bicycle in the air behind him explode, which propels him onto a plane. And then, him running and shooting looking like he's flashing a light at someone while running. And of course, the best scene, when you're done with the stripper minigame, where this guy tries to touch the stripper and gets knocked the fuck out. That guy dead. In a game that is a third-person shooter, I have yet to talk about the weapons. There are the usual weapons in this game that you expect: pistols, assault rifles, submachine guns, shotguns, a grenade launcher, a rocket launcher, and a sniper rifle. The main guns you'll be using are pistols, assault rifles, shotguns, and submachine guns. You don't get to pick guns, you just find them. Once you defeat an enemy, you're able to pick up their gun and use them. Each one has a different range, or they're more effective, like a shotgun has a short range and does a ton of damage, while a pistol is decent at all ranges but with low firepower and fire rate. What you usually expect of these guns. It did make me switch out when certain situations called for it, but I mostly used the assault rifles because they had decent range and killed a lot faster than a handgun. For some weird reason, they gave you a handgun with a suppressor on it. I didn't quite understand why they have it in this game. I never felt like I had the chance of sneaking around or got a gist of the AI's viewing distance for sneaking. I did try to do it while using the crouch since, crouching equals stealth. Sniper rifles, I thought, were the most useless gun in the game. There's no zoom of the gun, and using auto aim with it was completely useless. It wasn't until the end of the game that I figured out that I could press X or Y on the controller for zooming in and out. This was definitely my modern gamer instinct trying to use the game's D-pad or C-stick instead of the face buttons. Seems like a minor thing to put on one of your face buttons. In my defense, they don't tell you anything about the zoom, which could also be part of my modern day game spoiling me. There's actually one more weapon I haven't talked about. Shadow, your canine companion. Who's the goodest weapon? Who's the goodest weapon? If you aim at the enemy and the reticle is red, you can press the B button and he will. Oh my god, look at all that blood. Who's a deadly good weapon? Who's a deadly good weapon? When he does that, he kills the enemy and brings you the gun they had. Shadow is probably the most amazing thing in this game. He brings you the gun of the enemy he kills. He can unlatch and bring back a bomb, and he escaped prison by himself and saved your life right after. He can even operate this machine which saved your life. I don't know how many buttons that machine has, but I don't think a child will be able to operate that. Since Shadow is very useful, they put him on a cooldown, sadly. I also didn't use him very much because he slowed down the pace of the game, since you have to watch him kill the guy every time. One thing that disappointed me was that there's no new abilities to unlock. The adrenaline is Jack's only ability and you don't unlock much else. The only thing I unlocked were new kill animations when you grab someone, and also being able to block throws. I wish they did a bit more with the adrenaline. Maybe letting you go into slow-mo and let you point at a bunch of targets to get one-shot kills. Or anything else really. After playing this game, I can see why I never remember much besides the first 2 levels. While the game has the frameworks of a third-person shooter, it has many hiccups. It has auto-aiming for some weird reason. The cover system isn't good, and I think the worst part is the health and armor packs. Since I don't know when the next time I'll get a health packs, it made me play safe, and the tools to spice things up were not worth it since I had to manage my health. There weren't many scenarios where I could mix things up, and when they did try to mix it up, it landed flat. Hand-to-hand combat was more bare bones and random, that I played them slower than shooting sections, and the minigames felt more like padding than anything else. I wouldn't recommend someone play this game when we have a game like Max Payne in the world. Hey guys, let me know what you think about this video on the comments down below. Did you have it when you were younger, and what were your thoughts on the game? Have anything you want me to look at? Put it down in the comments down below as well. But as always, my lovely patients, I thank you so much for watching, and tune in next time.